What's going on, guys? It is Laser here with another weekend video analysis. It's Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Bit late again today. Was out earlier today with the fam trying to catch the Minecraft movie, but it was sold out. So we came home and just hung out here for a bit. So actually got some grocery shopping done, and now we're back at it again. I'm here to try and drop this video as soon as I can. As always, if you're new here, we drop one of these videos once per week. We're here to share where we see NIO going into next week. I've been actually kind of staring at this chart. I started actually doing this like earlier. I had to restart the video because I just realized I just really need to look at the chart and really figure out what it was that I wanted to say here. But pretty much, I know a lot of people are noticing that NIO is actually bouncing and it's going up, and we're trying to figure out where NIO is going. And it'll be tough to still look at NIO because I think generally right now NIO is going to be flowing with where the broad index is going to be going. And that means, what's the Hang Seng index going to do over the next couple of weeks? What's the SPY going to do over the next couple of weeks? And I think it's NIO is going to be at the mercy of those major indices. Here are my thoughts, and my thoughts are very similar to last week, guys. If you're trying to hear what my thoughts are, not much has changed here. I have here drawn out like a Fibonacci. These are historic Fibonacci points. 304, it bounced, and you can see it wicking, which is great to see. You can see a retest needs to be made at 410. Now, I'm not even going to factor in this just yet, which is like a lower support line, but what we want to see in a perfect world is that retest that comes right back up here into 410. Now you also don't want to see this rejected. You want it to get above that actually. And it could be one of those where it rejects, it tries, and then it finally breaks above. And I believe a break above that will be very similar reaction that you saw over here if it gets above. You could see the price could like accelerate really fast if it can get back above 410. And it might just be like a quick dip, and you could see that. But in order for NIO to do this type of move, you need to see the Hang Seng index do the exact same move. Now, Hang Seng actually is at a very interesting spot because it just had like a 17% decline. And it reminds me very much of this decline here where it dropped like 14%. You got like a little bit of an immediate bounce sideways before it dropped lower. And so when you look at where NIO is, let's do the Hang Seng index. Where is it? This one. When you look at where it is, there is an argument to be made that you could see it kind of rise up into the golden pocket here. Wait, do I have that set right? I don't have that set right. That was the logarithmics on the regular. If it does this, the golden pockets around here, if it were to do that, take this lines out, you would have your lower high pivot, and that's like a best case, in my opinion, for a dead cat bounce, to get up to that golden pocket. It's a bit sloppy here, and I'm just trying to paint it out. The reason we're looking at the Hang Seng and not NIO is because I think NIO is going to be at the mercy of what the Hang Seng index is doing. Gap fill, so there is that gap. And if it can come back and reclaim that, if it can reclaim this as support, which it lost, you'd have your big move. There you go. That would be your big move. That's the best case scenario. And what that would look like, by the way, on NIO, it would look a lot like this. It would look like this. This is what that would look like for NIO. A rise up maybe to 409, maybe get above that, 430. That would be your equivalent move. If the Hang Seng does that, we ride around here, we reclaim that as support, boom. We finally make that move up. And of course, there's going to be a pretty hard resistance at 550, but I would imagine that would be it. That would be your move. That's the best case scenario that we're seeing that plays out here. But there is a different situation that's playing out. Going back to the Hang Seng Index. Why is it like that? Why did I draw it like that? We'll do the futures. There we go. That's drawn out nicer. The other alternative is that the Hang Seng is done. And that's as far as you're going to get. And it gives you another leg lower. Right? That's a possibility. I truly believe that when you get a big move like that, where you get a move down, it's not going to be just in one move. You'll get like another bigger move down. And the fact that they were able to gap it down and remain below this channel, which has been previously support, it has been resistance, but it's been support here, and it's what launched it here. This is a big, big, big dark cloud here on the Hang Seng. Like not an actual technical dark cloud, but I think it's important for the Hang Seng to get above that. And if it doesn't, well, we can draw that channel right beneath it. And this is the other pathway for NIO. You could see that. It would be more like round it out. Maybe it comes up. And it would give you that. So we're talking 1900 on the Hang Seng Index, which is not any place new that it hasn't been. It's been there before. But for NIO, it would eliminate this scenario entirely. Like I don't see a scenario where NIO does this and the Hang Seng comes down. And because it's been failing to actually correlate with the Hang Seng Index, even on the way up, but on the way down, it's very happy to go down. So to do this, it's going to need a lot of help. And if you watch my last week's video, I still think we're going to be a long ways away before we get that big, big move, that big, big rally. It's not quite ready yet, in my opinion. Like if you guys are looking for that quick reversal, I think it's going to come right around the 114-day, 110-day mark, around June and July. So you got to map that out. Like how would we map that out? If the big move happens here, does it come here? And do we just dance here and then you get the big move? Or does it do this? It breaks down here. Hang on, it breaks down further into 2. And then you get that big move. And when I say big move, like from 2 to 350, 40%, is that what's going to be played? I mean, I don't want to say that, but that's definitely a possibility. It's just so, it needs to get above this trend line. And for the bulls to take back control, has to get above here. And it has to hold here. That's the first win. Second win's going to be 409, 4010. Has to get above that. A rejection here would likely send it right back down to 3. And if it does get above there, you can rise back up at the 550. So those are kind of your options here. When I look at the velocity, by the way, guys, I don't see anything to kind of like last week I talked about like the 200-day moving average maybe making that higher low. So if it did, you would need one of the craziest V-bounce reversals for this to make a higher low. I think it's poised to actually make a lower low. I think this will eventually make a lower low again, which opens up the gates and possibilities. Like, are you going to see this followed by that? So a period of consolidation. Essentially, you trade within this range here. And if I were to draw now a pattern, I'm just trying to just lay this out here, guys. I don't feel good about I don't want to. I don't want to say it can't do it, but something like this plays out almost, where it dances in here, and then it goes to the bottom fib, which is 2. I think it's like 220. And then it finally, it does this. Consolidates here, people start buying, they rug pull it right down into 2, and then they launch it back up to 410. Potentially they get it back up here. 3 again, and then they can bring it up. I don't know. Like that's just I don't think it's gonna be the complete V bounce that people are expecting to be. So it's important to think about. I talked about it last week, but it's important to think about like, hey, like, are you 100% like in on NIO? Do you have a hedge? What if it goes lower? If you get a rejection here, going to need to see the big move on the Hang Seng for NIO to make that recovery. And it would be, in my opinion, too fast for it to just like all of a sudden. I think they're gonna, and it's in a pretty good shape right now. It's not. I don't think China, in my opinion, will immediately rush to stimulate, but I think they're doing some sort of short selling ban. Got to wait and see how it all unfolds. When I look at the Dixie, by the way, looks good for the bulls. I'd feel a lot better on the Dixie if it broke up higher and it made its big move and then it declined. Something tells me that it's going to want to come up and retest 104. So if we get that big move back up on the Dixie, it's likely going to be a period of risk off, which would coincide and give you confluence with potentially another leg lower on the Hang Seng Index, which would mean more pain for NIO. It's good that it's bouncing. It's good that the rest of the market's bouncing. You look at the SPY, is the bottom in? I mean, we haven't broken above the 200-day moving average. It's made a lower low. Like it's, and if you were to compare that, by the way, the last time it made this low was here. That's the last time it's made that low. And from there, you had a huge move up, 16%, followed by another 19% down. And I think you could get something similar like that, because until you get that break, notice on the SPY, it didn't give you that break. It gave you the big move back up, followed by the big move back down. So you could see it kind of come up, back down. And it kind of gave you that bottom formation. Bottoms could play like that. That's kind of what I think is going to happen, in my opinion. So many people are anticipating this all-time high blow off the top. I think there will be the case. I think what's going to happen, by the way, from a narrative standpoint of view, because all I'm hearing from Donald Trump is that rates need to be lower. Fed needs to drop rates. And I think Fed's coming out and saying they're prepared to do that, but they might wait until you get this next big move down, which is like around 450, 460. And they'll come out and they say, we're dropping interest rates. And then the whole market will rally. I think Hang Seng Index will start rallying. Everything will start to rally. Perhaps there's going to be a deal with Trump and Z for the Hang Seng, and that's what's going to be the catalyst. But from a technical perspective, unbiased, I do think there's going to be a very high probability of another leg lower, and this is just part of a dead cat bounce. And if I were diving just like on the smaller time frames, if you're trying to just like time this out, even on the 2-hour time frame, you don't really even have like a break. And so I'm going to point out it made a lower low on the 200-day moving average. The last time you got a lower low, you did get a bounce followed by lower lows. I still think the lows are not in. and these lows will get taken out. So do what you will with that information. That's my analysis of the thesis. I'm looking right now. Bitcoin seems to be kind of going up throughout the weekend, but still remains below its main trend line. So it's still technically got to be cautious with Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin, there's going to be something. I don't know what it is, but there's going to be something that's going to say whoosh. It's going to bring it right down to 65. And I think that will go in line with the SPY. Whoop, it's going to come down. That's going to go in line with Hang Seng coming down and potentially NIO coming down and retesting 3. The best case scenario here, in my opinion, and more, not best, but I think most likely scenario that you're going to see here is you'll see it kind of rise up 367. It would reject. And you're going to come back and you want to hold that $3 level. If it doesn't, I think that next big fib level is 2. Here's the good news. Good news is it's giving you that velocity break here on the 2 hours, but on the 24 still has a lot of work to do. So man, I hate giving the bad news. I'm just calling what I see here, guys. And I know one of you, I know nobody wants to just watch a video and an analysis of like a potential bearish outlook, and people want to hear like bullish, and they want to hear like, hey, what's the upside here? I would say that it's important to open your mind and be open to the idea that, you know, whether it's 367 or $4, that there's gonna, I don't think the bottom's in. That's it. And as this does it, as this kind of comes lower, I think what you're gonna see is you're gonna see the Dixie start to rise. It's gonna be it'll be a big fast move up, in my opinion, on the Dixie. It'll start rising. Equities will start falling back down. And I think the Fed, they're going to come in and they're going to say, all right, guys, we're going to drop in interest rates. And that will be your like bottom. So one more leg lower. That's my thesis. And that's pretty much it. You're either in, there's only 2 camps that you can be in when it comes to what's happening in the market. You're in the camp that the bottom is in, or you're in the camp that the bottom is not in. And it's a dead cat bounce, and it'll give another bounce. And that's the camp that I'm in. We haven't seen any catalysts aside from tariffs being paused. And he's actually raised the tariffs like crazy on China, and they're retaliating back. So perhaps they come up with a deal and they just like eliminate those tariffs, but I don't know. You never know. I'm team lower low. Okay. I'm just letting you guys know that's just where I see things going. I hope you guys appreciate my thought process. That's kind of where I see things going from here. If you have any questions at all, don't forget to drop it in the comment section below. I appreciate all of you guys. I see everybody that's been dropping comments and liking my videos. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to get more notifications for this. That's it. That's all. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Cheers and have a good day.